Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of the SoCal Prep Report. Rich Estrella, along with my buddy Bob Gibson. Randy Rosenblum will join us shortly. Carlos Pena's got soccer duty, baby.
What?
Well, you know he's a pro soccer coach.
I know he is.
There's
I
no
know,
business
but come
doing high
on,
school
there's
football. What's
to
he
be,
know?
There's still football being played up there in the chilly high desert.
That it is. And like I said, Randy Rosenblum will join us shortly. Going to talk about all kinds of stuff, Bob. You know, we left the air last week, Bob. Narbonne was in the news right after we hung up with everybody here.
No
they were
sooner
back
did we go
in
off, right?
We got to get into that story.
All right,
and,
we'll get into
of
that
course,
with
when Randy
Randy.
joins us, there's some big games in the city section. Finally, got
Right?
some big games going on in the city section. Got guys joining the No Love Top 10, the whole deal, Bob.
I love it.
Okay, maybe not the No Love yet, but close.
We got some new schools in the No Love.
All right, we
we're going to
certainly
go over
do.
those new schools in a minute.
All right, so here we are. We're getting into league races now. Everything counts big time. And let's take a look real quick, the top 20 or the top 10. We got two of them, if you know what I mean. Actually, three, so we're going to be looking at a lot of schools. Real quick, Modern Day, of course, Bob, just took apart Servite 56-11.
Okay.
Their number one spot in the nation is still secure
Of course.
after that big win.
Oh.
Bob, did you really put a lot of stock in the Servite holding off Bosco
No.
by one?
No, I didn't. I really thought that Servite played out of their minds, but I think even more than that, I think Bosco really played down to the competition. That's not to slight Servite. Servite's, we talked about it. They are up and coming. Troy Thomas has really got that thing rolling again over there in Anaheim, and Servite's going to get back towards the top of that league pretty quick here. But come on, nobody thought, hey, wait a minute, is Bosco down a little bit? No, Bosco played down to the competition that night.
I think so.
I have no doubt that when we talk about Bosco right here, what they did this past week in dismantling an excellent Jay Serra team.
Well, you see, Bosco and Modern Day play a national schedule. They have to. If you want to be, considered the top in the country, you have to play that schedule. Both have played plenty of teams this year in that top 10 and beaten them handily. So, it's going to come down, Bob, as we're looking till next week, and that's why I say the trap games are all now. All of them. Servite laid one out for Bosco.
Right.
Bosco almost took the bait. And we're going to talk about more of this in a little bit, but let's continue on. St. John Bosco also won, defeated Jay Serra handily. I didn't see that one coming 49-10, but again,
49-10.
that's the difference between the haves and the have-nots right now in the Trinity League, Bob.
And I did see that coming, actually. I thought, you know what? I thought
death, baby.
Bosco's going to be pissed off after that game
Yeah.
against Servite. And guess what? Bosco went out, and they did what Bosco does. They laid out an excellent Jay Serra. I mean, this is a really good Jay Serra team. That's how much better Bosco is than the rest of the It's Modern Day and Bosco, and then the rest of the league is like this. Come on, let's be honest about it. Jay Serra, Servite are the next two best teams. Can't even come close. Servite technically did, but they can't come close to the rest of this league. Come on, it's the two best teams in the nation.
Not right now.
Come on.
All right, continuing on to top 10, you've seen the three-spot Corona Centennial. Man, did we dodge a bullet not looking at this one, Bob? 69-7, man. Corona, that's the battle for the city of Corona right there. Those are crosstown rivals. Mission Viejo over Capel Valley, 63-13. Bob, look at this top 10 people. The good schools, in other words, the teams with the haves, shall we say, are really got a lot of firepower this year. Modern Day scoring 56, Bosco scoring 49, Corona scoring 69, Mission Viejo 63-13 over Capel Valley. And then we look at Jay Serra. Okay, they only had 10 points.
Right.
There goes that.
But who'd they lose to?
Yeah, they
the
played-
second best team in the nation.
Played at Bosco, of course. And they're not going to lose their position for losing that ball game. Grace Brethren in the 6th position, easily over Moore Park up there in Ventura, 56-14. Narbonne had a bye this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about they in a little bit. Norco defeated Santiago 63-14, which is going to set up a big matchup this week, Bob, between Norco and Corona Centennial. That's it. That's for the league championship, winner take all. Doesn't look good, though, for Norco.
This is where I have an issue with our top 10 right here at the bottom.
What, Servite and Bishop Amat?
Bishop Amat should
Why?
Bishop Amat should have jumped up above Servite
Why?
and above Norco.
Who did Servite lose to already? Did Amat play Bosco already? Did they play Servite on modern day yet?
Amat lost to Jay Serra. You're right.
There you go.
You're right. Amat did, but that's their mark on the season so far. But Amat is playing so much. Damian Moore right now, what he's doing over there with the Lancers. I tell you, watch out for Bishop Amat. They're not going to win the CIF title. It's not going to happen. Maybe they hope they can get down to Division II. I don't think it's going to. I think they're going to be left in Division I. But if they can get to Division II, I have no doubt Amat plays in that championship game.
Well, I'm not counting on Amat.
They're
just yet,
playing
Bob.
really good football right now.
I think it's really early to be doing stuff like that, but go ahead, my brother.
I'm going to do it.
You just did.
I'm going to throw it out there.
You deal with all that hate mail too, man. It comes all the time.
I'll take it.
You take it. All right, continuing on. As we mentioned, Amat gets the number 10 position, just below Servite. And last week, Amat defeated Chaminade 45-12, and we figured they would.
Right.
Bob. So.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like I said, Amat is playing their best football right now. Right. It was a little shaky early. We were waiting for Amat to kind of get over it a little bit. They finally did. They got that big win on the schedule a couple of weeks ago, and now look at them. Just off and running.
Well, this is the time of year you want to be hot anyway. You know, playoffs are looming. It's league races. You got to win your league, man. You want to get a good seed.
Yeah, no doubt.
But then again, and if you're playing in that open division, I don't know, Bob. I don't know if I want to get in a big hurry to get there, if you know what I'm saying.
It's going to be crazy because whatever those 8 teams end up being, and we were talking about it before we went on, and it's speculation. I think you know at least probably 5 or 6 of them right now who they're going to be. But I tell you, it's the teams that get bumped down to D2 that I think are going to be the most relieved. Because I think that D2 tournament is going to be a lot of fun, but you actually have a shot to win a title in D2. Up in the D1, forget it. You're never going to win a thing.
Chris Ricks has studied this. We were talking about it, and he'd be the guy to talk to about how this is going to work. I don't know if you're because it's Division 1 and 2, they're going to get a combination of 2 to fill the open division. But can you opt out of that open division if you want to?
No.
Let's say Bosco says, you know what, I don't want to play modern day.
Yeah, right.
We're going to play
we want to go to D2.
We're going to go to D. Yeah, we're not going to play in the open. We're playing the D1 deal or whatever it is. I mean, can you do that? I mean, in basketball years ago, you had your choice. I don't know about now.
I don't think
Everything's
so. No,
changed.
it's whatever the committee's going to put 8 teams together. They're going to put that tournament together, and everybody else is going to bump down for a D2 title. And I think that's going to be, like I said, a lot of fun because there's
Who's
so
on that
many,
committee, Bob? They
so
got
many
like
good teams.
Condoleezza Rice and
It's probably
Pat Hayden, those guys.
You're right, Pat Hayden.
Same
really.
guys that do the FCS.
Yeah, I think so. I think Lynn Swan may be on that committee
man,
too, right?
don't even go there. All right, no love club time. Enough of this senseless dribble, and that's what it is. All right, no love club. We see Corona Del Mar, Bob, your favorite team of all time, 42-7 over Edison. They did punch a big team in the mouth, but
you're not kidding, man.
Edison's not Edison this year, my friend.
Okay, Edison hasn't been Edison in a few years,
Since
maybe.
he invented the light bulb, they haven't been Edison. Come on.
But that's still Edison. That's still the
right,
top team in the city of Huntington Beach. In that area, they get all the athletes for the most part. Corona Del Mar, look, D3 is going to be a lot of fun too because you're talking about Corona Del Mar and Grace Brethren in D3, and I think that's going to be just a heck of a football game if that's what it comes down to. I think it will. But I think Corona Del Mar, I've said it earlier this year, I think they have every right to say they are the best public school program in Orange County. And guess what? That's where Mission Viejo resides too. I think CDM's that good.
They're not going to beat Mission Viejo.
Oh, I think they give them a hell of a
they're
game.
not. The same thing I told you. When we were standing on the steps at Cerritos College, and I told you and Randy that there was no way West Chester was beating Fairfax or whatever, and you guys kept on and on and on. I'm telling you the same thing right now. There's no way.
And Fairfax
if they play that game, I do not think Mission Viejo loses that game. That's all I'm going to say, Bob.
All right. And you may be right.
And you rooted for Corona Del Mar, so that's a kiss of death. We all know that. All right, continue on that. Hasn't been so far. I know left of Cypress, 24-7 winner over Placentia. They retain their position. Culver City over Lawndale, 32-27. Kind of surprising, but then again, maybe not.
It's a nice win for Culver City.
They're stablemates. Scatella continues on with a big win over Magnolia, 47-7. Western defeated Artesia, 34-23. You know, that breaks a string for Western. Western had pitched like 5 straight shutouts. They lost their first game of the season, and then they've won 6 in a row, and the previous 5 were shutouts, Bob. What's going on, man? They go from a long ball situation to defense.
To defense, right? Hey,
winning games.
Coach Davidson, man, he's building something really good over there.
Paramount in the San Gabriel Valley League over Downey, 48-22. Big game of significance there. Sunny Hills defeated Buena Park.
Wow, blew them out,
Setting up a showdown, Bob. We're going to talk about that in just a few seconds here. Glendora defeats Ayala, 13-7. Excuse me, they lost to Ayala, if I'm not
lost
mistaken.
that game. I know, Ayala.
Yeah, but I was taken aback by that 7-0 record there, Bob. Should be 6-1, but it doesn't matter. They are where they are. Bob, Foothill? I thought they were undefeated.
Foothill, he's undefeated.
All right,
I think they swapped the records there. Come on, guys.
I don't know, man.
Foothill 7-0.
You know what? I think isn't
Glendora's
Randy
4-2,
type
right.
this stuff? He's sabotaging the southern section
Right.
today, man. I believe that. And of
That's
course,
all right. And look who's at number 10.
Alhambra is also
I love
undefeated
it.
at
Moors.
7-0. So we got 7-0 teams. Glendora probably threw them off it, but anyway, they're all 7-0, and that's a no love club. Foothill and Alhambra join it, Bob. It's 7-0 each team.
I like it. Foothill really deserves to be there, having a great season. Alhambra, I love that too. My old stomping grounds.
Alhambra can't believe they're in there either. I'm telling you right now, they're going to
yes.
see this and they'll be pulling their hair out tomorrow.
They got that great baseball program over there at Alhambra.
They
too,
do, but
the last couple of years.
I'm just saying, football, they're finally turning the corner over
Good
there.
sports in the
Yeah, it's
SGV. The
been a while.
SGV is underrated this year. Make no doubt about that.
All right, let's look at some key matchups right now. Boom, poof, there they go. All right, La Habra Sunny Hills, Bob. We know the Freeway League belongs to La Habra. It's been for the last 100 years. It's
Forever.
La Habra. They got championships galore.
Since Coach Mazzotta's been there.
Since Gary Carter retired from Sunny Hills, they haven't done anything, really. Not really. They've been
Not
a
in
basketball school
football.
more than anything. So now we had Buena Park challenge La Habra, and I think they did beat them once out of the, when Coach White
They
was
did
there.
when Coach White
Yeah,
was
they
over
got
there,
them
you're
once. And now it's Sunny Hills' turn to possibly blacken the eye of the Highlanders. Bob, I don't know, man. You got to tread lightly on this game here because whoever you pick is going to lose. So let's hear your thoughts on this ball game between La Habra and Sunny Hills for the Freeway League title.
I would like to, and Sunny Hills has been a great story, but I think this is the end of the.
You think this is the end of the line, Bob?
For the Lancers, I think La Habra is that good. I think La Habra wins this game going away.
All right, you saw the records, but in the interest of fairness, La Habra does play Division I schedule.
Right.
They really do. So losing 2 games in there, you probably lost to Mater Dei and to Bosco, and that's about it.
Right.
So that's the kind of schedule they play. But I got to give it to Sunny Hills, man. Before, that was everybody's homecoming like Buena Park. When Buena Park started winning, Sunny Hills was the homecoming for everybody.
That's true.
Now it's turning around. They're only playing half the schedule homecoming. Next year, they won't have any homecoming games except their own. All right, continuing on, having a look at the next game is Rosemead and Gabrielino. Of course, Rosemead is where the only Southern California high school Heisman Trophy winner ever went to school, our own Anthony
I was
White.
going to say, we got to get Coach White on to talk about this one, right?
He's the reason we have him in here. All right, don't think I didn't get a text and a call and all kinds of stuff from him saying, well, we're going to talk about Rosemead. Well, talking about Rosemead Gabrielino. Gabrielino 2-0 in league, Rosemead 0-2, so Rosemead must win this ball game. And the line on this thing, I checked in Vegas, Bob, it's 1 point.
Is it?
Not kidding. So we're going to check on this game next week.
Boy.
It's supposed to be a 2020, 22-21 game or something like that. That's what they're saying. Rosemead needs this game more than Gabrielino does, but we'll see what happens.
I think it's another of those interesting matchups, for sure.
I love them when they're even like that.
Well, in an area where there's so much good football being played.
Absolutely. All right, let's continue on. We're going to see Crenshaw from the City Sec. All right, we'll talk about this next first. Servite J. Sarah. Bob, this is basically what they're calling the third place bowl this year because the winner invariably will take the 3rd seed from the Trinity League, which is pretty good. Pretty good because you can take the 3rd place team and pretty much wipe out 90% of the southern section if they play.
You could be, if you assume that Mater Dei, Bosco, and Centennial are going to win out and be the top 3 teams in the division, you can say this is going to be for the 4th spot in that D1 bracket when they put those 8 teams together. So the winner of this game, and I got to go with Jay Sarah in this game. I just think they're the more well-rounded team. I think they're the better football team, especially when you look at the trenches. Servite played out of their mind 2 weeks ago. We're back to reality against Mater Dei this past week, and Servite's still a very good football team, but I still like the Lions in this one. I think General Booty's really starting to come around, make more plays out there, and when you have Chris Street and that running game that they have with the Lions, I just think it's going to be a little bit too much for this young Servite team.
We'll see what happens, man. Servite played very well against St. John Bosco.
They did.
And they didn't play very well last week against Mater Dei. So hopefully they will have a better game this week. Bob, you still on camera?
I know.
I don't know. We'll look at you. Here we
He's
go.
talking. I
But
can
anyways,
talk more if you want.
I could stick my head over there. But anyways, the bottom line is it's a 3rd place game. And I still think they'll take 4 teams out of this league. They may not all go D1, but they will take 4 into the playoffs, Bob. Because remember, they could switch.
I agree because I think even the loser of this game is going to make it. So in my thinking, Servite still makes.
This is the year Rancho Santa Margarita and Orange Lutheran do not belong in the playoffs.
Right.
We
know that.
Sorry about that.
We know that. They'll be down in the D2 level.
Sorry, man.
Sorry. And one of those two, Orange Lutheran may have a shot to make a little noise in the D2.
This is not the SEC where they take everybody. All All right, they just don't. It's not what it is. All right, let's talk to Randy Rosenblum now as we get ready to see the Crenshaw lock game. All right, Randy, this seems to be the big game this week in the city section. I picked it out right away. Crenshaw and Locke, pretty much they're both 2-0 in league, and pretty much the winner has the inside track at winning.
The Coliseum League. Yeah, and certainly Crenshaw has really come on. They've scored 143 points in their last 2 games. Once they got into the Coliseum League, they've been absolutely dominant. 64 plus on Hawkins. They put a number on View Park when they scored 79. But this has been a good Locke team for a while. The score against Dorsey, to me, is not surprising. Locke won the D2 championship, beating Roosevelt in the final last year, 22-20. They've had a good program now for 3 years, but Crenshaw's got too much firepower. Locke will put up a fight for a while, but the Cougars will win.
Bob, what do you think? San Fernando beat both these guys?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Without any question.
San Fernando's the best
You're
team.
talking the Tigers.
All right, I just throw that in to get, because Bob will go on. And
I'm a San Fernando homer this year, so
Absolutely.
that's my team.
I just don't want Bob picking a winner in this game because you know what happens when Bob picks winners.
Nope.
They lose. So we're going to let that go. And but it is a big game, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We're going to have, of course, more about that game. And it's been a long time since anybody talked about Locke High School in football. I'm just saying.
Well, they did win that championship last year in D2 in a great game over
Been a long
Roosevelt.
time, man. Like I said, last year was a long time ago, Randy.
Yep.
We're talking before last
Sure.
year. Man.
Well, that's another story.
All right. That's exactly. We're going on historical right there. All right, real quick before we continue on with the city section, let's take a look at the national picture, as we always do at this time. And we see at the top again, it looks kind of like the southern section, modern-day Bosco holding the 1-2 position, followed by St. Louis of Hawaii, Bob. What a game, St. Louis. I mean, these guys have 2 weeks off now between that and the title game against Pahoa. And Pahoa's tough, man. I mean, they are.
Is that their big game? Is that St. Louis's big game of the year?
That's going to be their big game this year. I mean, they beat Pauley by like 60 points this year. So it's not like St. Louis is going to have an easy time.
You're talking about Punahou? Punahou
Yeah,
blew them
yeah.
out. I did the
Punahou,
game.
right,
Yeah, it was incredible game when it was 49-0 or something like that. But anyways, those are your 3 best teams right now in the country, bar none. St. Thomas, again, Florida, they continue their winning ways, as does St. Francis Academy of Maryland, who already lost to Bosco, by the way. Continuing on, Duncanville hasn't played out of state, but you know what? They do have a pretty good football team. I think they probably obviously do have the best team in the state of Texas. Gonzaga, Bob, they should be out. They really should.
You want to take them out?
Yeah, they're out. They lost.
All
They,
right.
they lost.
They're finished.
DeMatha right now is our new number 7. Gonzaga lost a league game, man. That's just shouldn't have
That's
happened.
tough.
Yeah.
That's tough if you're losing in your league like that.
Lakeland, Florida is still in the 8th position. They defeated Durant 27-0. Remember, they're all in the league. Concord de Serra defeated Cal of San Ramon 70-7, Bob.
Look,
70-7.
We talk about the haves and the have-nots here in modern day Boston. There's no competition, zero competition up in Northern California for De La Salle.
Right. And St. Joe's,
Grant, once in a
Folsom.
while, Folsom, right, has a good program,
There's
but
nobody.
they
Listen.
can't get over on De La Salle.
basically, De La Salle is modern day high school up in Northern California, and there's no Bosco, there's no Santa Margarita, there's no Olu, there's nobody. There's not even a St. Anthony's.
No Narbonne.
Nothing.
No.
It's just everybody goes there, and then it kind of trickles down everywhere else.
You gotta
So
get the
just-
Narbonne.
Yeah, I got it. All right, continuing on. Let's finish out this top 10 as we get back to the city section where things really matter right now. Continuing on. Hello. Anyways, all right, Bob. Well, there you see it rounded out.
There it is. St. Joseph,
St. Joseph
Regional
Regional,
in
I
New
wanted to
Jersey,
talk
right.
about
Beat
the
Bergen
Navy-
Catholic.
Bergen
28-10.
Catholic.
That was close.
Bergen Catholic
Catholic's a good program.
Bergen Catholic is a national power. All right, so it's good to see get off the gutter and
There you go.
fight some more. St. Joseph's
There
Regional.
we go. Back up.
Somebody was talking about St. Joseph's Regional. Sounds like a hospital or something
Right,
like
it
that.
does, doesn't it?
All right, there's your
Sounds like
national
a
top 10.
hospital.
In 2 weeks, it may or may not change because I don't know. I don't know if Bosco beats Monterey Day in a close game or vice versa. If it's going to move, why should it? Nobody else is
Well,
playing the
no
top
matter
'Cause
who wins that, you're just going to flip the two, right? Because
they're gonna play again.
Right. If Bosco wins, you just flip them. If Mater Dei wins, you leave them where they're at.
It'd be something like if JC or Mission Viejo just won this open division. It'd just be something. It'd be crazy.
Can you imagine?
It could happen.
What about Corona Centennial?
What about the 69
No.
Jets? Let's talk about those
No.
guys. They were
No.
supposed to beat the Colts.
I love naming.
Could happen.
Centennial already got blown out by Mater Dei this year.
All right. You done?
Yeah.
Randy, let's get on with the city section
Moving on.
news. What do we got going on over there?
Unfortunately, the city was on fire this week, literally. And I don't mean to be coy about it, but schools in the San Fernando Valley had to postpone games or got rid of them entirely, and they canceled them. And it affected my top 10 in terms of the records. But Palisades made up their game on Monday against a very good Venice team, won the game 38-14 at home, and that's a big win for Pally. And you're going to see how I've jumped them into my top 5 in the top 10. Of course, Narbonne is number 1. They had an ineligible player that's come down now. We do not know what sanctions are going to come down, so we're waiting to see if Narbonne's even going to be in the playoffs. But the Gauchos had a bye. They go to Gardena this week.
Well, how can you leave number 1 with something like that hanging over, a cloud hanging over?
But that was for last year.
Yeah, but, dude, they got to forfeit that crown. And
Well, that's last year. We still don't know what the sanctions are going
Is
to
the
be
guy
this
still on
year.
the team right now? Would it be
No.
still on the team? Then
No,
you
he's
got to
not
lose
on
all
the
the
team.
team.
But they still haven't said what the sanctions are going to be.
Yeah, we don't know. And I would think that Vicky Lagos, it's in her hands now at the LAUSD.
Well, Randy, there has to be a precedent you can remember on something like this. What typically happens? You vacate.
Well, Hawkins
you
is,
vacate those games.
Hawkins and LA High, they got hammered. They took away titles. They took away
Death
everything.
penalty, huh?
I don't think that's the case if I was the commissioner. You want my solution?
Let's hear it.
I don't think you penalize them. You got rid of the coaches, the administration. That's already changed.
Oh, you got to
Next
vacate
year,
that title, Randy.
I don't care
I'm
about
all
that. Ineligible play. They won those games by
the
5
Belichick
touchdowns.
rule, my friend.
Here's Randy's philosophy, because I don't like hurting kids.
All right.
Next year, or if it's a 2-year penalty, you go 2 years, you pick a percentage of the home gate, and that percentage goes back to the LAUSD. Now, if it's $500 a game and it's $2,500 a year, $5,000 over 2 years, to a school like Narbonne, that hurts. But don't hurt the kids. That's my philosophy. That's how I believe.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that because you're right. In the end, you don't want to hurt kids, and kids actually went on the field and won championships. Was there an ineligible kid? Apparently there was.
Yeah, but they won the
right.
games by 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Right, exactly.
The
Could that one
philosophy's
kid have made that
fine,
big a difference?
Except here's the problem. The boosters with the haves are always going to be able to pull that, where the have-nots cannot, because they could pay the fine.
Yeah, but they're going to clean them out now. And unfortunately, you're not going to have any of the coaches left next year. The quarterback, I believe, will transfer Garcia. He's going to end up going to like a St. John Bosco or a Mater Dei. Not necessarily those schools.
Who's got openings for quarterbacks
Well,
this next year?
But that's where he's going to end up going. So I don't know what's going to really
Minor
happen.
leagues.
I
Narbonne's a minor leagues
I
now,
would
really?
like to see Narbonne go into the playoffs because I want to see him get the 6th straight championship, which would tie Banning's all-time record from the 70s. Anyway, let's get back. Let's get back
Wait
to
a
my
minute,
top
Randy.
10.
You cannot do that. How can you just...
I want to reward greatness on the field.
Greatness,
That's why.
but how is the greatness put together?
With great players.
No, you end
The
up getting rid of
coach-
the AD, the principal,
And they
the
have
assistant
already.
principal.
They're all gone.
They're gone.
They're all gone.
Hey, they didn't vacate any of those Patriot
fake,
titles,
they're
did
fake
they?
championships because you used ineligible players.
forget
Let
it.
everybody go out there and recruit whoever they
Everybody
bring everybody
does
in.
recruit.
Bring Ferragamo back to Banning. Make them champions again.
He's on TV. That's an extra benefit, right? He's
There
on
you
TV all the
he can
time, Vince
recruit, too.
Ferragamo. Okay, so let's go back to
Bring
the
Slater
top
with
10,
him.
if possible here, because Bob wants to see the name San Fernando.
There it is.
Yeah, San Fernando didn't play because of
No,
the
I
fires. The game won't be played. They would have
Right.
taken Kennedy out. They should be 7-0. So San Fernando does not play last week, unfortunately. So they'll have to wait, this week to play. There's San Pedro, which won the battle for the harbor. They knocked off a very good Banning team, 41-16. The brilliant Josh Ward again. 4 touchdowns on offense, double digits in tackles on defense from the linebacking spot. He's phenomenal. Garfield goes to 5-2. They beat Legacy 45-6. They'll have another game this week. They should win against Southeast. I mentioned Palisades and their big win, the Monday game where they made up the game against Venice because of the fires. They hammered them 38-14. Kenny Klein with 131 yards rushing. Banning lost. I dropped him to number 6 after the defeat to the Pirates of San Pedro. Crenshaw, I moved up, obviously, with all those points being scored in the 64-0 rout of the Hawkins team. Birmingham, I have them up at 8. They didn't play. Their game against Cleveland canceled because of the fires. I feel bad for Jim Rose's team. They'll play Chatsworth this week, and that shouldn't be a problem. Fairfax was very good. They're up to 6-1 now. They had a nice win over Westchester 21-16, they have a big game coming up with Venice. So if they can win that, Fairfax has got a shot to get in the top 8 in the finals, get into that open division. And Westchester, with their loss, I dropped them just 1 spot to number 10.
Let me ask you this, Randy, real
Sure.
quick. I know we got to say, we've been talking all season long. San Fernando, San Pedro. San Fernando, San Pedro, right? Back and forth. Are we kind of like missing out on Garfield a little bit? Could Garfield be the second best team in the city?
I think anywhere from 2 to 8. If they knock Narbonne out, and I look at these guys here, Birmingham's got new players now after the sit-out period.
That's true.
They could win the city title.
I think sleeping on Garfield is my
I think
point.
we're sleeping on Palisades because they got a great defense too. So Birmingham, Crenshaw, I look at all of them. If you take Narbonne out of the mix, it's wide open. It's wide open. It becomes and Garfield will have as good a chance as anyone to win the city title.
Fair enough.
I got a couple other big games I think we're going to talk about. Carson and Banning. It's a standard bearer game. I mean, over the years, this has been the game. These are the teams in
One time it was the biggest game in the nation.
Yeah,
this
in recent
rivalry.
years, it's been the
70s.
great rivalry with the teams with the most city championships. Carson just won their first game. They lost their first 6 out of league, got into league and beat Gardena handily. Banning, of course, lost to San Pedro, as you can see. This is critical because the winner of this game will probably go to the open division. The loser, out. That's
Are
my
you
opinion.
serious? The
Yes.
open division?
A
For
2
the
and
state?
6,
No
a 2 and
way.
6 Carson team could be in
Well,
the open.
They'll never get in.
It's going to be hard not to put them in there. What happens if they win every game but the Narbonne game and finish second?
Yeah.
I think they got to go into the open division.
might be right.
Because the 6 games they lost were all against Southern Section schools.
Can you imagine that
So-
score in that first round game?
know.
So you're going to have San Pedro and Narbonne and maybe Carson
That's a scary thought, Randy.
into the top 8. It's possible when they look at the computer rankings.
That's a scary thought right there, my friend. I'm just
So
saying.
do I have anything else? What else did I say
Go
here?
ahead,
Anything
man.
else?
I think you're
Well,
good.
Eagle Rock beat Lincoln, so Lincoln's undefeated season
here we go.
is no
what
longer.
is
And
this
then, of
game?
course, San Pedro, non-league game, plays Sierra Canyon. This game's at Pierce College. San Pedro's not going to win this football game. It's a good practice game for them, getting ready for the remainder of the Marine League season.
I like this
and
playing
getting
up to
ready
a
for the
Sierra Canyon
playoff.
school. I like this.
I don't know, because
because
they're going to get beat up a little bit, and we know where they're going. They're either going to be, well, it depends. If Narbonne's out of the tournament, they could be either the number 1 or 2 seed in the tournament going in. I think San Fernando will probably be the number 1 seed because they're going to go undefeated in the regular season. So San Fernando would be the number 1, the presumed number 1, if Narbonne is eliminated.
True.
All right, guys, let's close it out with this. First week of the season, we talked about a preseason game where a Dayton, Ohio kid from Dunbar High School headbutted an official because he was mad because of too many penalties called on his team. So he headbutts the guy, right? So now it's gotten to the courts now where it should probably be. And they're going to try the young man as an adult, and it's a felony. So it's 2 to 8, possibly 2 to 8 years in prison, plus a $20,000 fine is what this kid might incur. And the only reason I'm bringing this story up again, because it's a bad story, keep yourself under control. Remember, you are playing a game. I know it's intense. I know football is a violent game, but you should be under control. And the coaches out there got to do a better job.
Well, look, we already know there's a shortage of officials. People don't want to be officials at the high school level anymore.
not
They're
with
saying, you
that.
know what? I'm out of here. I'm not. Why do I want to take the abuse from the parents and the coaches? Now the players on the field, forget about it. So
Well-
the Southern section has already sent out saying, hey, come on, it's a little bit of an emergency here. We need people to come in and be officials. They're putting out the SOS for this.
But let's remember, this was in Ohio, all right?
I know, but I'm just saying that it's not just here. I'm sure it's everywhere. Who wants to be an
Randy
official?
condones this kind of
You're
violence.
going to
You've
get
gotta
headbutted
come
by a
down
kid
on
with a
violence.
helmet.
Yes, you do.
Come
You got to come down on that.
And they're making an example of this young man, and they should. I don't agree about maybe all the time he's going to get, because I did see the play, but you got to keep yourself under control, because next year when you're out of high school, some of you seniors, real life takes over, man, and everything you do is going to follow you. So be nice, be kind, even on the football field. All right, that's it for this week. That's all the time we have. On behalf of Randy Rosenblum, Bob Gibson, I'm Richard Stray saying so long from your friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. We'll see y'all next week.
Good night.
Congratulations, Palisades.